Hi everyone, this is Diovana. I'm your host for the night. You can see my colleague Ludo as well. He will be helping me with this presentation. Before I start, I would like to ask you, let me go a bit further. So this is me, Diovana. Before I start everything, I would like to ask you to hold on to your questions. We will answer all of them at the end of the presentation. And if you forget for some reason some of the questions you wanted to ask, please just let us know, send us an email, and we would love to answer them afterward. So I'm Diovana. I live in the Netherlands for a long period already, about almost 12 years. I came here as an expat as well for work and ended up staying in this country that I like it so much. I am from Brazil. This is our team, our Expat Housing Network team. We are a big team. We are here in Eindhoven and also in Amsterdam. We have an office in both places. And we are all expats as well. We all have lived abroad and live abroad. We have a large team. We are from all over. We have people as me from Brazil, from Venezuela, from Romania, from Australia, from UK, oh man, so many countries. So let me talk to you about what the goal is today. I will do my best to try to make you understand the whole process buying in the Netherlands and how everything works here. I will inform you about everything and that you're going to meet during the whole process, what is going to happen, what you have to do, and how everything works. And as I told you, answer your question as well at the end. So as I told you before, the questions will be answered at the end, and also we will share in the video and the presentation via email afterwards. I believe tomorrow you have everything. So if you have, again, if you forgot something, if you need any other information, please just let us know. I'll be happy to help you. Here we go. Let's talk about the market and how it goes. How is the market? First of all, I hope everybody's safe and healthy in this crazy period. And we are ahead of some more measures. So I hope things will get better soon and we get somehow to some kind of new normal or something like that. So about the market and about the housing market, you probably have heard a lot of speculation around. What I can tell you about my experience and about in our company and what we can see, that the house prices are still going up. They didn't stop grow. They didn't went out whatsoever. They didn't even froze for a while or anything. What we see, we saw actually at the beginning of the crisis, at the Corona crisis, at the Corona period last year, I would say around April and May, we saw less houses in the market. But I believe it was because everybody was a bit afraid. And then suddenly people were not anymore. And the house came back to the market very fast. And we have, and it's still growing. It's just going up and up and up, and we don't see any difference from any other time. So it's still a growing market in percentage in the houses, and the prices are going up every day. So I would like to talk to you about the markets, the different regions as well. Eindhoven, we have the Eindhoven region as well, of course, and we have differences in prices. You're going to see prices around in Eindhoven, they are much expensive than the other places around Eindhoven, for example, Helmond. It's because of all the companies we have around, of course, but it is also because we expats are still discovering the places around Eindhoven. Eindhoven is still growing a lot, and that's why you see the difference in price. There is still a shortage in houses in the Netherlands. We all know that. There is too many of us expats and not too many houses for us to buy it at the moment. The government is working on that, but I believe it's going to take a while for them to grow together with all of us coming so much into the country. And if you're looking to buy a house, if you wanted to buy a house, please keep in mind that buying a house is it's not a short-term thing. You know, buying a house today and sell in the next year. Think about at least 1 to 3 years. I would even say 3 to 5 to because you're going to end up sometimes paying more than they are asking. So for you to be able to get them back and even to make some money, it would be advisable to wait for a few years before you sell your house. So let's start it. We put it together 7 steps of buying a home in the Netherlands, and I'm going to go through each one of them. So as I told you, you will receive the presentation. So, but if you want, of course, take your notes and think about your questions so we can answer them at the end. Those are the 7 steps: mortgage advice, the search for your property, the viewings, the researching properties, submitting an offer, inspection and appraisal, the purchase contract, the transfer deed, and the mortgage deed. Let's start with the mortgage advisor. What our advice would be for you: shall you go to a bank or shall you go to a mortgage advisor? Well, I always talked about the mortgage advisor and the bank as a shoe store, right? If you want to buy shoes, if you want to buy a specific brand, you can go to a specific brand. If you just want a normal shoe, just the shoes, and you don't know which one yet, you go to a shoe store to have many, many different brands. And there you can pick the one you like the most. That's exactly what a mortgage advisor is. He will provide you, I believe in the Netherlands, we have around 35 to 48 different mortgage providers, and he would be able to access those mortgage providers and give you the best of it, the best interest rates, the best way to pay your mortgage, the different kind of mortgage as well, and the one that suits your budget and the whole context of you buying a house. To be able to get a mortgage, you have more or less an average 5 times your gross salary, your yearly gross salary. So that's more or less you can calculate it for you. Then you know your budget, or what your budget would be. And as I told you, the mortgage advisor will look it up of the interest rates or the bank as well, whatever you choose. It will look it up at the interest rates for you and all the steps to provide the mortgage for you. This is one of our partners, Robin. He works for a company called Mr. Mortgage. He is the one who could be sharing all the information about mortgage, all the conditions, so the documents you need, and he will prepare everything for you to be able to get your mortgage. Normally, the mortgage process takes 4 to 6 weeks. These days, the experience that I have, it depends on the mortgage provider. It takes even less, or they ask for a bit of more time. It doesn't mean your mortgage will be denied or anything. It's just because of the whole Corona thing. Some people are getting sick, or they have, or they don't have enough people to work at the moment, or it's just the way the system works. But that's normally, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks, 6 weeks max to have your mortgage approved after your offer gets accepted. The mortgage advisor will provide you all the information you need from the bank, different interest rates, what different mortgage that you have that you can choose from, how the way the payments will be, and everything. He can tell you all the details regarding to your mortgage. So the second step is to start your search. What are the platforms? So when we talk about platforms, most of you probably know about Funda. Funda is the platform where you find, I would say, in these times, 99% of the properties that are available. Why I'm saying that? I know here in Eindhoven there is some gossip around saying that a lot of real estate get houses before they go to Funda, and they get to show to specific people, to people that talk to them before, and you get to visit the house before it goes to Funda. I would say yes, that is true, but that was true years ago when they didn't have that many people to buy a house. Today, in the current market, or for the past, I would say 3 years, 99% the houses are on Funda. It's much more money-wise, it's much more clever to put the property on Funda. You have many more viewers, you have many more appointments. The chances are that you're going to get much higher offers than just have them for yourself and share with 3 or 4 people. So they are on Funda. About neighborhoods, yeah, well, about neighborhoods is something that has to do with your budget as well, and where you feel more comfortable to live, of course. In Eindhoven, what I can say about Eindhoven or Eindhoven areas, Eindhoven is growing a lot. And I remember a few years ago, I had clients who only wanted to live in the city center or inside the ring. And today it's really, really expensive to live there. So we are all, and everybody is find out that there are much more neighborhoods around Eindhoven, little villages around that are not so far from, that have better price, schools for the kids, or new houses as well, which better energy label than the living in the city center. Of course, if you want to live near the station, the train station, you would pay more for that. And that's a different on the neighborhoods and also the cities around. You have Heldrop, you have Veldhoven, you have Helmond, you have Best, you have Noonan, that a lot of people are just getting to know those neighborhoods now. And they, as I told you, they have more new houses, they have better offers, or better prices as well. And that would make a difference on your search as well. And still, you can get to the city of Eindhoven quite easily. With or without an agent? Well, that's something I will always tell you, with an agent, because I am one. But I truly believe on the work of an agent. I can speak for myself only, of course, and for my team and for my colleagues. The trust that you have in someone help you going through this whole process, that it's mainly in Dutch, with all the documents in Dutch, and to know the neighborhoods, to know the situation of the house, how the house look like, how it should look like when you are interviewing, how the real estate agents proceed interviewing as well, how they present the documents to you. That makes an agent a very valuable person to have around, to make sure that you have everything checked and everything is completely reliable, it's completely trustable, that you won't get any trouble during the whole process. Someone that you can really trust to help you to achieve this big step in your life, that is buying a home or a property. Viewing and researching properties. Well, I always tell my clients, and everybody I know that is looking for a property, to look for the conditions of the property. How does the property, if it's an apartment, how does the building look like? How does the inside look like? If the walls are insulated, how is the basic condition of the property, the basic condition of the house? How is the roof? How is the ceilings inside? Try to find out as much as you can about the property. And for that, it's very important that you request the documents of those properties and see what kind of information you can get from it. Those documents, you see a list of questions that will show you a lot about the property, that will present to you simple things as if the property already had a leakage, if they had a leakage in the past, if they fixed it, when did they fix it, if the house has any guarantees. Those kind of things will be in those documents. It is very important. Who are the neighbors, for example? How is the neighborhood? All of those things will be in those documents. So it's very important that you know what is regarding to the property, every information you can get. And if you're seeing an apartment, for example, there is a thing called VVA, is the owner associations. So the owner associations will be the one that will run all the affairs regarding to the building. And they have many documents that you could look for, that you can look into. They have documents such as how much do they have in budget? If something happens to the apartment, what would they cover? Do they have house insurance? Most of the VVAs, the owner association, have house insurance. Very important, how much you pay for monthly, and also are the heating costs included in that price. That might be a surprise as well. It comes always in the notary. I have people tell me that they didn't know that they have to pay that price. So that's why you have to really pay attention to those documents. Price research. Price research is very important. Price research is about something we do for our clients that can show our clients it's how much for how much the properties around the neighborhood that you are looking for were sold in the past year. We would say max the past year because the prices are going high so much that it's uncomparable to look for a price for 2 years ago. That's about already, I believe, around 15% more than the houses are less than the houses are today. So it doesn't make any sense. So that's why we do it from maximum a year ago. So there in the price research, you can see it for the price that the house were sold around the house you're seeing or the property you're seeing, and you can make a comparison. Even better if you can find pictures so you can see the insides and see what if there is any renovation, if they did any renovation and how long ago did they did it. So then you can compare the price and then you can see how much. Oh, a very good tip here. On Funda, you see the price of the house, even the ones who were sold. That's not the price that the house was sold. That's the asking price. That's the first price they asked for the house. It doesn't mean that that's the price. It can be much higher or it can be even less. It can be the same though, but in the condition and the way the market is going now, it most likely will be more than that price you see on Funda. So that's why it's very important to do your price research. So you have an idea how much you should offer for that property to be able to get it. This is my colleague Alana. She's also a buying concept, a buying agent. And this is what a buying agent, a buying concept do. We inform you and assist you during the full process. We go with you to the viewings. We schedule the viewings, join you, of course, and as I told you. We do the price research, the property research, and negotiate as well the price for you to be able to get the best of our offer and make the best deal for you. If your deal gets accepted, find a notary as well. Make sure the appraiser is there to guarantee you have your appraisal report for the mortgage. Do also a technical inspection as well. I will talk about those a little bit further so I can explain why you need them. Why as one of them is actually mandatory, so for your mortgage process. So I will explain a bit further, and we will be there for you all along the process, enjoying all the meetings as well with the appraiser, with the technical inspector and the notary. Review all the legal documents. They most likely will be in Dutch. I've seen now in Eindhoven. Oh, sorry, I do speak Dutch, just so you know. I came to learn after so many years in this country. It's quite handy. So don't give up if you're still thinking about it. It's hard, but you can get there. So we review all the legal documents together. I always tell my clients, I will review them first. And if they are like the way they should be, like the way I like them to be, we will do it together before I ask them to change something that I don't like in the documents. But we review them all together and then make sure you get the best of the price for your house. Submit an offer, final purchase price. That price will come from our price research. We do the price research. We try always to share at least 3 to 4 properties for you to see for how much they were sold in the past year, as I told you, and make sure that we get the price that we in the offer. In the offer as well, we'll put some dissolving clause. Those clauses will protect you for paying the penalty of 10%. I don't know if you all know that, but if you talk to the mortgage advisor, he probably already told you about it. But when you buy a house in the Netherlands, you have to pay 10% deposit when you sign the purchase agreement or a few weeks after. That money comes from the bank. You can borrow from the bank. You pay, I believe, 0.1% of it, the purchase price, to be able to borrow the money. The money will be sent to the notary, and the money will stay there until the whole process is complete. That money is the penalty that will be paid to the seller if something happens during the process. What I mean by something happen is that you can only terminate a purchase agreement contract if you don't get your mortgage accepted. Otherwise, you cannot just wake up in a day and say you don't want the house anymore. If you do that, you have to pay the 10% penalty. And that's why that money will be used. And that's why it's very important to have the right to solving clause in your offer. So you don't end up paying those 10%. Also, timelines and deadlines. Why is very important? Because different owners, different sellers will have different timelines, different time to hand over the key. I have clients already, they are seeing house today to move in only in October, which is quite far. And then if you are willing to accept that, you might have a big shot to get your house. Most of the house will have a deadline to send an offer. They will give you a few days after you see the house. Most likely won't be able to see the house for the second time because they're so busy with so many people, and also because of Corona, it's not that easy anymore. So you have all those deadlines. Also in the offer, there will be deadlines to do the technical inspection and the appraiser, and also in the purchase agreement you see the deadline for you to provide your mortgage for your mortgage advisor, the 6 weeks that I told you before. Here we go, inspection and appraiser. This also, the inspection should be in your offer if the house is older than 15 years old. We always advise our clients to have that in their offers because you can always find some kind of surprise when you bring the technical inspector there, especially if it's an older house. When this is in your offer and the offer gets accepted, you normally have around 1 or 2 weeks to bring a technical inspection, and he will be able to, mainly what he does, it goes around the house and see everything and make a report. You would be with him, I would be together, and make a report about all the things that are wrong in the house that should be fixed and how much should they cost. Some house will need a foundation inspection. It depends how old the house is. That's something that is still being discussed. And also you're going to have the appraiser. And if you would like to have some kind of renovation in the house, you should bring also a contractor. Then he can tell you how much more or less that would cost. And the appraiser can do a report with the price already, and he can tell you how will be the price of the house, the worth of the house after the whole renovation. So you might be able to even borrow a bit more from the bank. But let me explain you step by step. This is the appraiser. This is Michelle, the appraiser. What she does, she provides the report that will say how much the house will be is worth it, and the bank will give you 100% mortgage when the bank knows that that will be in the report. The price that you put in the report is the amount that you're gonna get from the bank. Let's say you see a house and it's 300,000 euros, and then you make an offer of 320, and it got accepted. And then the appraiser went there and he saw the house and said that the house is only worth at 315. So what it means is that the bank will borrow you can get a mortgage of 315, but the other 5,000 euros you're going to have to pay yourself. You can go through with the deal or not, but that's why you need good clause on your offer to be able to get out of the deal in case you don't want to pay the difference. That's exactly what the appraiser does. She will determine the value and look at the comparative properties to sold in the recent past and the current conditions. The appraiser also looks at the VVA, and also the banks look at the VVA to see if they have money, say in the savings, to see what they're going to do. The VVA, the owner associations, if it's a building, if there is an owner association, what they're going to do regarding to making the building better, to make some renovation. All of that will take in account from the appraiser to make the report and get the best value of the house for you. The building inspector, that's the technical inspector. Normally, after the offer gets accepted, we try to bring the building inspector, the technical inspector, within a few days to the house as fast as you can, to be able to see and check with you. She'll walk around the house and look at, if it's an old house, they will look at the ceiling, and all the parts that should be in very good condition, the CV, the boiler, those kind of things, inspection, and take pictures of everything and put in a report as well. And in that report, you will see if you have to do any maintenance, how much it costs, how long, when you have to do it. Normally in the reports from the technical inspector that we work with, he has 3 different columns, 0 to 1 year, that's that you have to fix it right away, 2 to 5, and 5 to 10 years. And then he puts everything there with the price as well. And then you could use the 0 to 1 year to negotiate with the seller to see if that's possible. Let's say it's a huge amount. I had a case before that the technical inspector found a very bad, nasty roof in a house, and the renovation costed about 15,000 euros. We were able to negotiate half of the price with the seller because my client really wanted the house. So that's something you could think when you have a building inspection, a technical inspector. Of course, you have to take into account how old the house is and the condition of the house is as well. But that's something you could think about it. So, and when everything is done, you put it off, you get the offer accepted, the technical inspector was there, everything was fine. It's time for a purchase agreement. What is the purchase agreement? The purchase agreement is the negotiation between the seller and you. It will state what the conditions are. The conditions you put in your offer will be in the purchase agreement. Also, all the deadlines that you have, how your maximum time to get the mortgage. There will be there that you have maximum 6 weeks to get your mortgage, and a date, the price you paid for it. Some purchase agreements, it depends how old is the house. We will have some clause as old clause saying that the house, it is old and you knew about it. I don't really like that clause. And I try to fight for my clients to take them out of the contract because I don't believe it's fair, but it's not illegal. Sometimes I'm able to do it, sometimes I'm not. It really depends on the seller. But those are clauses that you can expect on the purchase contract. It also says that the transfer date, that day you can move to the house as well, that you have agreed with the seller. Let's say you're going to see a house now, and then the move-in date, I would say now January, I would say at least April, I would say at least May now will be the move-in date for the whole process with the mortgage and everything. So that will be in the contract as well, in the purchase contract. Once the purchase contract is signed, it would be sent to the notary of your choice. You are the one who chooses the notary. I will always say to my client, also another tip, choose the most cheapest one. They all do the same job. They all have to do the same job. So there's no reason for you to pay a huge amount for it. I don't know if you knew that you do have a cool-off period. Let's say you signed a contract on, I always tell my clients to sign on a Wednesday, because then they have Thursday, Friday, and Monday is to pull out of the deal and not pay any penalty. After those 3 days, you will have to pay the 10% penalty unless you don't get your mortgage. When you don't get your mortgage, the bank will give you a letter automatically saying why you didn't get it, and that letter has to be sent to the seller, to the agent of the seller, to the notary, and then you can get out of the deal without paying any penalty. But if you just wake up on a beautiful day and say you don't want it, then you have to pay it. Sorry for that. After you signing, as I told you, the purchase agreement has to be sent to the notary and to your mortgage advisor, seller as well, of course. But then is when you start your whole mortgage process. You probably would have your documents by now all complete, and everything you need as documents will be there, and your mortgage advisor will, or the bank will start the whole process and show you all the interest rates and the conditions and what kind of mortgage will be better for you and those kind of things. So this is the notary. I told you before, but they do the mortgage deed and the transfer deed. The mortgage deed is the deal between you and the bank. It's your basically what kind of mortgage you choose, how much you're going to pay, the interest rates, and all the legal things that you have to that you have to obey to get your mortgage. And then the transfer deed is the deal between you and the seller that he's selling the house to you. And one thing I like about the notaries as well, you only that's what they do, but they only not do that. Actually, they do a kind of checkup, background checkup in the house itself. They look at all the documents from years before and all the other mortgage deeds and transfer deeds from years before to make sure that everything is okay, that nobody will, that not no third party will claim this property in the future or anything. That people are not getting divorced in the middle, and that nothing will happen, that the house can be taken from you. So it's a quite very nice thing that the notary does. The notary will start the process the day the purchase agreement is sent to them. They will put it in the system and do the whole process and start to send you emails with the purchase agreement, the mortgage deed and the transfer deed and all the documents that they also need, different documents that you have to send it to them. And they will arrange and interpret it. Just so you know, if you don't speak Dutch fluently, you need an interpreter to be with you in the notary, because everything they do there is in Dutch. So you need a translator to have a simultaneous translation at the moment you sign your transfer deed and mortgage deed. About the notary, the interpreter, I want to say that at the first time I bought a house, I wanted to have everything in my own language. I did speak English, of course, but I just want to feel 300% comfortable. So I ended up asking for a Portuguese translator. Oh my God, I paid so much for that. And then the second house, I ended up getting an English one because it was half of the price. So just so you know, just another tip for you. If you're good in English, go for English, it's much cheaper. So then it's time for the transfer and the handover of the keys. So before you go to so let's say you go to the view now, you put an offer, it gets accepted, your mortgage, everything is fine. The appraiser was at the house. He said that the house, it was good value. The technical inspector was there, it was fine. You signed the purchase agreement. The mortgage was approved, everything is done. So now it's April, it's time for you to get your keys. So what happened is that, let's say your appointment at the notary is, I would say 11 in the morning for something like that. So about an hour and a half or so before you go to the house with the seller, with the agent of the seller and your agent, I hope. And you go to the house, and we're going to do a final property inspection. Why we do that? Because one thing is seeing the house during 15 minutes in a viewing with 40 people, 40 appointments, one after another, full of furniture. And one thing is seeing your house without any furniture, completely empty. After the purchase agreements, after the signing of the purchase agreement, the seller is not allowed to change anything in the house anymore. Nothing, not even the color of the wall. And he also has to inform you if something happens to the house. Let's say if they have a big leakage, and he has to fix it as well. So everything has to be the same way when you saw the house for the first time. So that's why the final property inspection happens. Most of the agents will also make a final property inspection report, and they will take all the measurements from the gas, water, electricity as well, because from that day on you have to pay it. But also walk around with you and the seller. The seller will walk around and show you how everything works. Sorry, and show you how everything works and in the house, and answer your questions and those kind of things. And only after that, and only after everyone signed that report, then you go into the notary to sign the transfer deed and the mortgage deed, and then it's time for you to enjoy your house and get. Well, you do have to pay a lot before, but then it's time for you to get to enjoy your house and be yours. About the final property inspection, we had a case before that we went to the house, and they have this beautiful kitchen. It was beautiful, but it was separate from the living room. There was a wall they just put some big vase or something. And then we went there after 6 months, I believe. It was quite a long transfer date. We got there, and the wall wasn't there anymore. So we're like, what happened with the wall? They said, well, I never liked the wall. That's what the seller said. It was such an awkward thing to happen. And of course, he had to rebuild the wall. It took my clients a few days to move in. But yeah, that's why the final property inspection happens, because then you don't have those kind of surprises. And they didn't know they wouldn't allow. It was a very old couple. They were very cute, but they did have to fix it, everything, before my client got their keys, just so you know. After you move into the house, you do have around 2 months liability, I would say, to use everything in the house. I always tell my clients, turn on all the radiators, use the oven as much as you can, use everything, open all the, everything you can use, so everything is working properly. And if something's not, then you have to contact the previous owner, the seller, and he does have to fix it, of course, if he didn't break anything, but he does have to fix it. I do have to tell you, it is a gray zone. It's not something that is mandatory, but most of the sellers are always there for the buyers. They text each other for the first few weeks to see how things work and ask questions and answer questions. So I just make sure you use everything and have a good contact with the seller, and I believe everything will be fine in those 2 months as well. After that, it will be almost, it's kind of difficult to, if you find, I don't know, after 6 months or so, if you find something major, I believe you're going to need a lawyer to prove that you didn't do it, and the seller knew that before he sell the house. So that will be a bit more difficult path, but yeah, that's how it goes. So we make a little timeline for you to see better how the process goes, and how more or less the timing is, that is for you to get the whole process and to the end. So you start your search. The first thing you do, you start your search. After you start your search, you go into the viewings, and if you like the house, you're ready to submit an offer. Normally within a day or so, even if you have to submit an offer in the morning, I believe in the afternoon they will already tell you if you got it or not. At maximum 24 hours, I would say, your offer will be approved. And meantime, if it gets approved, it's time for you to bring the appraiser and the technical inspector to the house, have the technical inspector and the appraiser to make the report, to make sure you're going to get the price that you paid for it in your report and get 100% of mortgage. You sign the purchase agreement, and then start your mortgage application, your mortgage process. You do have those 3 days, remember, but after that, not anymore. We put an average of 4 weeks because that's normally what the mortgage takes to get approved, but you do have maximum 6 weeks to have approved. It will be in the contract. So, but normally I would even say I have clients now with 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks that are getting them approved. So it's quite good, actually. Once your mortgage application is approved, the stage of completion is the final note. What is the final note? The final note is what you have to pay extra for the house, to get your house, right? Because the bank only going to give you the 100% financial mortgage, or the price that you pay for the house, nothing else. So the final note, you're going to have to pay your mortgage advisor or the bank to have your mortgage done. You're going to have to pay the appraiser, the technical inspector, your agent if you have one. You're going to have to pay the taxes of the house if you are above 35 years old. You're going to have to pay the notary itself, the translator as well. I would say that would be around 4 to 5% of the price of the house. If you're buying a house with NHG, I believe you all have heard about it. If you buy a house with NHG, then you have to pay more, 0.7% on the price of the house to be able to use the NHG mortgage type. So those are the little things you have to pay. That's why we say 4 to 5% of the price of the house. That's going to be the final note that the notary will send it to you, and that has to be paid maximum to 48 to 24 hours before you get to go to the notary and get your keys. And then it's time for you to get your keys. the big day is coming, it's here, you're there, you get your keys, and then you have the 2 months liability to use, to try to use everything and see if everything is work fine. And then that's it. Then you just get to enjoy it as much as you can and see how it goes, and wait for a few years before you sell it, as I told you before. So this is a big timeline. Start, offer, average the offer is exactly like that. Before you sign the purchase agreement, is maximum 2 weeks. The agents that are selling the house won't wait longer. If you don't sign it quickly, they will sell to someone else. But please don't sign it anything until you understand completely, until you have your technical inspector and your appraiser done. So that's why it's very important at that time to have someone to help you and make sure that everything is done within the law, that you are not doing anything wrong or signing anything that you're not supposed to. After you sign it, average 4 weeks to get your mortgage approved. And then depends on the agreement, on the delivery date, because you might see a house today, but you can only move in September, October, and also April, it depends. And then after you move in, you have the 2 months liability. Purchase costs. Those are the costs that I told you before that you have to pay, that's not included in your mortgage. So as you can see the transfer tax, the 2% transfer tax. This is mandatory. There's nothing you can do. This is the government make you pay. That's a punishment. It must be. It's too high. But that's the taxes you have to pay. If you are buying a new build, if you buy a new house and nobody ever lived there before, then you don't have to pay it. Now, if you're under 35 and you never bought a house in the Netherlands, you don't have to pay it. If you and your partner are buying a house together, but let's say you are 36 and your partner is 31, that means you still get the discount, but then you get 1% discount. You both, only your partner get the discount. If you're older, unfortunately, it won't happen anymore. There's something about this. If you buy a house into April, that it costs maximum. Well, for now, you can buy any house and you have the discount, the 2%. Discount anyway, but from April on, it's maximum of 400,000 euros. Above than that, you don't get a 2% discount anymore. So the price for the bank or for the mortgage broker, I don't know if you know that, but the bank also charge you to make your mortgage process. It's not because you are a client that is free. They charge you as well as a mortgage advisor. They do have a department that it's full of mortgage advisors, and they will charge you anyway. So the costs variate, and depends on the company or the bank you choose, from 1,500 to 3,400. As you can see on the last column, there are a few things that are tax deductible that you can get back on your taxes from the next year. The cost for the notary is 1,350 into 250, 250. You can even have more than that, depending on the city. In Eindhoven, I would say it would be around 1,500 for now, the cheapest one that we have now. The real estate agent, 1 to 2%. We don't charge that. We have a fixed fee, so it doesn't matter if you buy a house of 100,000 of 1 million. It doesn't matter. We don't charge you a percentage, but 99% of them do charge that. The translator costs around 250 and up. If you get a specific language, like I did for the first time, it was, I believe it was about 6 years ago, and it was almost 500 euros. I will never forget. It almost killed me. But that's depends on the language, really. English is the cheapest one. The appraiser costs 500 to 600. I heard they will go up a bit this year. They got the green light for that. We are still working with one that charged 550, if I'm not mistaken. And then you also get tax back from that. The technical inspector, it depends. This is an average price for a house that has maximum of 1,000 cubic square meters. If it has more, it's a bit expensive than that as well. 450, I believe in Eindhoven it's a bit cheaper than that. I think it's 375. It might be 450 with the taxes though, but it's 375. And the bank guarantee, those are the 10% I told you that you have. It will be in your purchase agreement, and you have to pay for that. 1% of the price of the house that you have to pay to borrow that amount. You pay only once, and then they will give the money back afterwards if it's not used to the bank, of course. But you do have to pay. You can also pay with your own money to the notary, and then the notary will give you the money back afterwards. You don't get any interest rate for that, but just so you know, you can also pay yourself and save that part. So here it is. You can schedule a 15-minute intake for free with me if you like, or one of my colleagues. You can see my email over there, our webpage as well. If you like to send me an email, I can give you my personal contacts as well, my cell phone, and we can talk and see when is the best time to have your intake, when it suits better. Thank you so much. And shall we go? Oh, those are our channels, Facebook and Instagram. You can also find us on LinkedIn, of course. Time for our questions. Now we can get my colleague Ludo into the picture. Hi, Ludo.
Exactly. Hi. Thank you very much, Diovana. We will indeed start with the Q&A. Thank you, everyone, for popping it in the Q&A. I think we have a few questions in the chat as well. I will start with the Q&A and from there on move on to the chat. All right. The first question is from, and please pardon my pronunciation of the names, Shashank. Shashank asks, if I plan to live in Eindhoven for 3 years, is it a good idea to buy a house? If it's not a good idea, why?
For 3 years, I would say it's 50-50, right? If you are planning to stay for 3 years, I would say yes. If you don't pay an absurd amount above the asking price. Let's say the house is 300 and you were planning to offer something around 310, but then someone comes with 320 and you go to 325, then I would say, well, maybe that's too much for 3 years already. Do you understand? I hope you understand what I mean. But if you don't plan to pay so much above the asking price, let's say it is necessary to pay, because that's the scenario now. But if you don't plan to pay that much above the asking price, then I would say yes, it's worth it to buy it. Yes, definitely.
All right, cool. And then he has another question. What would you recommend, Diovana? Buying a flat, so an apartment, or buying an individual house?
Individual, or it really depends what kind of what do you have? A family? Do you have kids? Are you alone? Do you intend to rent the house afterwards in a year or 2 or 5? Then I would say you should buy a flat. We see there are a lot of families in Eindhoven, but there are a lot of single people as well. It would be easy to rent if that's the plan. But if you have family, or if you're planning to have a family, I would say a house, but more because in the Dutch culture, people with kids, they normally don't live in apartments. You're going to have more single people and couples, and there might be a problem in the future with the noise, or you might not feel that comfortable.
All right, cool. Then we have a next question from Rupal. Rupal asks, can you please break down the mortgage a bit? Same goes for the down payment. So he has a relevant question, which is, if my yearly salary is 60K and I want to buy a house with a price of 450K, can I buy that house with a mortgage, and how much would the down payment be?
Oh, that's a very tricky question. That I would say I cannot break that. I don't know how much will be your down payment though, because the thing is, you have types of mortgage, and in one type you can choose to pay only the interest rates, and the other type you can choose to pay the interest rate and a part of the mortgage, the price of the house. The other, you can choose only pay the house first and not the interest rate. It really depends, and that will make the difference on the payment. I can give you my example. We wanted to stick with one amount every month and not more than that. So that's why we told our mortgage advisor, which mortgage shall we have to pay that specific amount per month. And that's what he did. He said, so you can borrow that much, and then you will be able to pay that much. If you borrow that, they will go up or down. So that's what we did. But unfortunately, that would be more a mortgage advisor question. If you don't have one, please drop me an email. I can give you a few names that you can contact. They also do free intakes, and they'll be happy to help you.
All right, cool. Yeah, indeed, for the mortgage advisor, I think that's good advice. Then we have a few questions from an anonymous attendee. He or she asks, a buying agent would be only contracted for the house in question, correct? Thus a new payment if moving for another house option. So I think the question in this case is if the buying party is looking for a house, they pay for that specific house, the selling agent costs. If they move on to a next house or they don't get it, do they pay the agent costs again? I think that is the question. Please correct me if I'm wrong, of course. Yeah.
So let me see if I understand the question. So if you don't get the house, for example, if they would make you pay, and if you need to move on to another house to get another house, is that correct? That's the question?
No. So I think what he or she means is that the selling agent, or sorry, the buying agent would only be contracted for the house in question.
No, well, I can only speak for our company. We don't have an amount of house that we would help you with. If you wanted to see one house and we get the house and you put an offer on that house, that's great. If you wanted to see 20, 30, 50, that's our job. We don't have a number. So we don't think it's fair. It's not like buying shoes that you can just choose a few and then that's it. No, we would be there for every house, and the price it's one price and that's it. But I can only speak for myself. I know for our company, I know here in Eindhoven there are other agents that they have a maximum of 3 houses, a maximum of 5 houses. Yeah, it really depends from company to company. We don't think it's fair to do that. So for us, it doesn't matter. It's one or whatever, how many you like to see it, or you like an offer.
Sounds good. All right. And Diovana, can you tell us if it's a good time to buy a house in Eindhoven? Will Corona drop the prices at all? I know you talked about it in the market news a bit.
Yeah, my opinion is we don't believe that the price will go down. We had some expectations at the beginning of the crisis last year that the price would freeze a little bit, but they didn't at all, not at all. In fact, they went up and up and up, and they continue to go up. So no, I don't believe the price will getting down, for sure not, but not even freeze. I believe they will still go up. What we don't believe that's going to go up like crazy, like some years before, but it's still they're going up. And yes, I do believe it's a good price to buy it. The interest rates are really low. With those 2% discount, I think it gives you a lot of opportunity to save money as well. And it's, yeah, you see the rental prices going up actually, which it looks a bit crazy in this time, but yes, I believe it's a good time to buy.
Cool. All right. And is there a way to get a mortgage which covers 100% of the property and the administration costs and all the other costs?
No, unfortunately not anymore. It was possible about 5 years ago, I believe it was still, you could borrow 110%, and then they put it down to 109, 108, 107. No, now it's only 100%. You need to have 4 to 5% of the value of the house in cash to pay the administrative costs. Yeah.
All right. Cool. And what are the tax consequences if an expat is leaving the Netherlands and trying to sell his house, if there are any, of course?
Well, it depends on the kind of contracts you will do with the bank. It really depends on the mortgage you do. You have mortgage that you're not allowed to sell the house at the first year. You're not allowed to rent the mortgage. It really depends on the kind of mortgage you get with your mortgage advisor. Really, Really depends. I know for people who live in Italy, for example, they're not allowed to have a house here in Italy. They have to sell the house there to be able to buy it here. It really depends where, what country you come from and what are the regulations there and how are the regulations with the Netherlands. So you have to talk to a mortgage advisor about it.
All right. Then you were just talking about how EHN does not charge a percentage, but it charges a fixed fee. Can you explain a bit more about the amount of the fixed fee and the possible packages that we have?
Yes, we do have two packages. We have a smart package we call, where we come in only when you would like to put an offer in the house, and for that, after that, we won't be with you in the viewings, but we will do the price research, prepare the offer, client profile, do the whole negotiation for you, and once the offer get accepted, make all the appointments, but not be there. Also look for the notary and everything else. And we do have a package that is a completely package, is where we are with you in all the steps.
Okay. All right, clear. We have a question from Simsa. Simsa asks, does the max mortgage amount depend on the gross income of the individual or the market price of the house that we intend to buy?
It depends on your income. It depends on your income.
Okay. All right. For example, this is a question from Nitin. If a mortgage is denied for any reason, will it have an impact on future mortgage applications?
Not that we know of it. I had clients before, actually one only, that got denied. They don't really deny mortgage that often in the Netherlands, thank God. But they got denied. But afterwards, they ended up buying a house after 3 months again. They found another house and they bought it. We never understood why they could get one mortgage in one place and not at the other place. What happens is that some banks accepted different, salary. For example, if you have bonus and 13 salary, those kind of things, it depends on the bank. Some banks don't accept the bonus. They don't accept the 13 salary. Some banks do. So that makes a difference when asking for your mortgage. But that's something that the mortgage advisor or the bank itself can really help you to decide it and not have denied it because of those things.
Yeah. Okay, all right. And a question from Jair. He asks, how much of my own money do you recommend to have prior to start looking for a house?
Well, it really depends on your budget, but let's set up a budget of 300,000, for example. Then if you're not able to get a 2% discount, you need to have at least, I would say, 12,000 euros. But if you get the discount, then it's you only need 3%, 2 to 3% of the value of the house. So that's way less. So that's why it's a good time to buy.
All right. Cool. Let's see. A question from Iona. Could I rent the house I bought for a while I have to go back in my country for a year or two and then come back? So I think rent out the house. Yeah.
Yeah, so that really depends on kind of a mortgage you do, but most likely the banks will, if they know that you are moving out of the country, most likely they will pressure you to sell the house. But if you buy, it depends what is going to be on your mortgage deed. Some mortgage deeds comes with that you're not allowed to rent it whatsoever, ever, never. And some will come with that you're not allowed to rent for the first year. The thing is, you need permission from the bank to rent your house. But don't tell them I told you that. A lot of people do rent out their house and don't ask for the permission, as long as they keep the payments flowing and there's a Dutch bank account in between. And because the bank won't knock to your door and ask, do you live here? But if you don't pay, if you don't have a Dutch bank account anymore, then they will pressure you a lot to sell the house. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Then the next question is from Damien Tsai. It's a question regarding the technical inspection. He says, we observed in practice that if we want to have a technical inspection before signing the purchase agreement, we have a less chance of our offer being picked, even when our offer was higher than the one that was chosen. What would you advise? How about inspection after signing purchase agreement?
Well, if you do the inspection after signing the purchase agreement, and if it comes with something very, very bad in the house, you cannot do anything actually anymore because you signed it already, and they probably will put that in. Those are one of those clauses I don't like. I don't like it as well. That I try to avoid for my clients, that don't put. They probably put in the contract that you will or you did have a technical inspection, and that they won't be reliable for it. So that's the risk you have. But it really depends on the house. Huh? If they did a lot of renovation, let me give you my example. My house is from 1929. So when I came to see this house, I knew I would do a renovation in the whole house. So it didn't matter for me what would come in the technical inspector report. But if I wouldn't do that, I would be very concerned because a lot of bad things came actually. But I knew I would make them better. So that's the thing. But now the next person would, if I sell my house, because we renovated 100%, and that will be in the documents that we're going to give to the people who come to see it, they don't actually need it, you see, because I did renovate everything. So that's why the documents are really important. You find those informations in the document, and then to make and then you make your mind of having or not. But yeah, sometimes the technical inspector gives you less chance to have to buy to get your offer accepted. But in this case, I would say it's a bit yeah, I would do it anyway, because if they don't want you to do it and accept an offer that is less, it's something wrong in the house for sure. It seems like.
Exactly. All right. Then another question regarding renovations that you just talked about. What would you advise, to buy a new house or an old house which is renovated? And then could you also give us maybe an approximation of the costs for converting a old house into a new house via renovation?
Well, that's really personal, actually. I really like old houses, for example. So we went for old house and try and renovate everything. It's costly. If it's a very old house like mine, for example, it's really costly. I think you can think about it around 100,000 euros at least, because you have a lot of things to do, included roof and those kind of things that are very expensive. Bathroom, you have new pipes everywhere that you needed. You have new radiators, new wire everywhere, and those things are very costly. If you buy a new house, you basically won't have to do much, and you have a better energy label as well, which is it's really personal though. But to renovate a house is very expensive in another, really expensive compared to other countries, especially to mine, for example. And it takes time, takes a lot of time. And you're not able to borrow everything from the bank to do the renovation. You're able to borrow some, but not everything. So keep that in mind.
Okay, makes sense. So back to the mortgage questions. Can I keep my mortgage pre-approved before making an offer?
No, unfortunately, they don't do that in the Netherlands. There are no pre-approval mortgage. The only thing you can do is talk to a mortgage advisor, have a very good one, the one you trust a lot, and then he can tell you how much you can borrow, and that he'll be able to get that for you. That's what is very important.
Okay. And let's say you already have a mortgage broker or a mortgage advisor. Do you then still pay the bank, which is eventually going to give you the mortgage? Do you pay them both, or either the mortgage advisor or the bank?
No, we just pay the mortgage advisor.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's see. And if it's a question from Pokumari, if I'm already in advanced discussion with the bank, should I still hire a mortgage advisor then?
Well, it depends. What you could do, do you like the service? Do you think you can get better interest rate in someplace else? Then I would say yes. Because also mortgage advisor, they do free intakes and they can show you a little bit more of other interest rates. I think it's worth it to talk to someone else, even if you pay a little bit more at the end, because they might get even better rates for you. That's the thing. But if you are really, really happy with the bank, then it's okay, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. And so let's say you get a mortgage. Are you or can you choose yourself the amount of years that you pay off the mortgage? or is there a limit, or how does that work?
There is a limit. A few years ago, it was 10% max. It also depends on your mortgage. Depends the type of a mortgage you're going to have. It's going to be 10%. And then, for example, for my mortgage, we were able to fix it on 20 years. Sorry, not 10%, but 20 years. You can fix it for 10. You can fix the interest rates for 10 years or for 20 years, but you can only pay off 10% every year. That's what it is. What it is. You can only pay off your whole mortgage if you sell the house. Okay. Otherwise, you have to pay a penalty to the bank. Then you need to see, every bank has a different amount, a different penalty.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have a question from Vladimir. He says, what is the rule regarding renting the house after buying? So do you need to pay 50% of the mortgage, for example, or how does that work?
No, you don't have to pay an amount, but you do need permission from the bank to rent the house. If you buy as a what is the word I'm looking for, as a investor, then it's a different mortgage. Then the bank knows you're going to rent. That's a whole other thing. But if you buy as just, let's say it was for you, and then you decided to rent, you need permission from the bank to rent. A lot of people don't ask for the permission, as I told you before, because the bank won't go to your door and ask if you're renting the house. But if someone say to the bank that you are renting and you're not allowed to, the bank is allowed to make you pay a fine, and you're gonna have to not rent it anymore.
Okay, all right. So let's say you have secured your home. What kind of insurances should one get?
Home insurance, liability you probably already have, but there will you have different types of home insurance. It also depends on your mortgage. Some banks or some mortgage providers will have you have a life insurance as well for you and your partner, or you alone, and the home insurance. But the life insurance is almost mandatory for every mortgage. And when you are in the notary, the first thing they will ask you if the house has a house insurance, because if something happens from that day on, it's your responsibility. And some banks will ask you, they will make mandatory both of them, life insurance and house insurance and home insurance.
Okay. All right, makes sense. Cool. A question from Nitin. If one's 30% ruling comes to an end and the net salary decreases, will it have an impact on how much one can borrow?
They used to think like that, and then they change. I'm not sure what the answer will be now. If you can drop off your email, I will get back to you with that answer, because when you have the 30% ruling, they make the whole value of the mortgage based on that, but they also make another scenario when you don't have the 30% ruling. What can happen if your salary go down a lot, the bank might pressure you to sell the house or to rent out the house or something like that. But it really depends on your mortgage. But I cannot give you 100% answer on that. So if you can drop off your email, I will get back to you on that.
Cool. All right, then I do have another question from Nitin. Different question is, what are the chances of your offer being accepted if you don't overbid? And if you do have to overbid, how much would you advise to overbid in order to win?
So that's when the price research come along. Sometimes you don't have to overbid. Sometimes you have actually enough with the asking price. I had plenty of people that only offered the asking price because the houses around were sold for less. It really depends on the property, on the neighborhood, on the house. And I cannot tell you how much you have to overbid without having a price research. There are some neighborhoods, as I can give you an example then. Eindhoven, for example. There, you do have to overbid quite a lot because it's the neighborhood of the moment, I would say. So a lot of people want to live there, new houses, better energy labels, bilingual schools. So that makes all the expats, especially families, to run to that neighborhood. And that makes a bit more competitive. You have to bid quite a lot, of course, if the house is in good condition. But it's not always the case, though. That's why the price research really comes in handy to know how much the properties around were sold.
All right. Yeah, cool. Then we have a question from ADJJ. What if you buy a house in Belgium and work in the Netherlands? What about taxes? Can you get a mortgage in Belgium or in the Netherlands?
You can get a mortgage in Belgium if you have an EU passport. Otherwise, you have to have the work permit to work there and buy a house there if you don't have a EU passport. Otherwise, you can. I have friends who did that, but they did have a lot of problems with the taxes in the Netherlands. They had to pay a lot of taxes there and here. So they had a lot of problems with that. Yeah. But the houses are much cheaper there. I got you. I always look at them and they're bigger.
Exactly. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The Netherlands, right?
Yes.
So, but if someone does decide to stay in Eindhoven instead of Belgium, which area would be cheaper in Eindhoven?
Which area would be cheaper? Oh, that's hard to say because you have very good houses. It depends on the size as well. You have very good houses in Woensel, for example, and then you have very bad ones that are much cheaper, or you just have small ones that are much cheaper. It's quite hard. Cheaper in Eindhoven. It really depends on the property. For example, apartments, you have very expensive ones around Eindhoven in the city center, but you do have good prices in the city center because the buildings are very old and they need a lot of maintenance. So then the price cannot be high. That's very difficult. It really depends on the property, really. Sorry.
All right, no worries. Cool. So let's see. You were talking about a timeline before. Is this timeline, are all these steps the same for each house? So the technical inspection, the appraiser, and all that.
Well, basically, yes, unless you don't need a technical inspection, for example, then it goes much quickly. You see that you put an offer, gets accepted. The other day, they will send me the contract, and then it's up to you to, in a few days, it can get signed and move on. But if it needs a technical inspector, then it takes a bit more days because, to make an appointment and for the man to be there, for the company to be there, it takes a few more days. But it's maximum, I would say, from the moment you get the offer accepted, is maximum 2 weeks before the purchase agreement is signed.
Okay, cool. All right. Then a different question from Ilkir, if I'm saying it correctly. He or she is considering a new built house, and their question is, if the house is still under construction, when does the mortgage back payment start? After the signing or after getting the keys?
No, it's after the signing. You already pay a percentage of what they are building. So let's say they are building 20 houses in a piece of land. So they will divide the price of the land in a percentage to 20 people, and then you pay a percentage of that. And then they put some walls, you're going to pay the percentage of the walls and divide by 20 people. That's how it goes until you get the full mortgage. So that's the problem with the new houses, because you start to pay right away. And then it goes up and up and up as long as they are building. And then you get close to the 100. Yeah, you're going to get, for example, rent and mortgage together for the whole period, basically.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see. A question from Osgun. He asks, how much are the property taxes? Is it based on the percentage of the house price?
No, the property taxes are based on the WOZ price. I don't know if you heard that. The WOZ price is a price that it's made by the city hall from the government. That's how they calculate the taxes of the house. It's normally much lower than the value of the house. They go to a neighborhood, they calculate more or less how much the houses were sold the next year, all of them, the year before, 2 years before, and then they don't see if the house is renovated, how big it is, or anything. It's just about for them to calculate the taxes for us to pay. So it's much lower than the value of the house. For example, my house today, it's much it's the same price as the WOZ, and normally the WOZ should be much less, but the houses around were sold for so much in the past years that the WOZ is going crazy. So I'm not the lucky one. I'm not in the lucky neighborhood. I'm paying too much in taxes.
Too bad.
But yeah.
Okay, and regarding the taxes, what would be the property tax for houses under construction then? Is there already a WAZ value for that?
Oh, that no, there isn't. No, because you only pay the taxes for the house once the house is done, when you get the final, when you get the keys, and that will be at the end only.
Okay. All right, then we have a question from Jao and Anna. Their question is, what is your advice regarding a house foundation inspection?
Foundation inspection, it has to be, maybe Ludo, maybe you can answer the question about foundation. Well, foundation.
Yeah, I think it's more relevant in Amsterdam and in cities like
yeah.
Utrecht, where we have such old buildings and properties that it's, especially if the building is from 1930s and older, you definitely want to have a foundation inspection.
Yeah, in Eindhoven we don't see, to be honest, since the whole time I'm working with this for years, I never saw a foundation inspector. Even in my house that is really old, we didn't have one, because it's really more for the parts of the Netherlands that the houses were built literally in mud, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's why they need
and also
a foundation.
the property documents that you receive from the selling agent, it will also consist of information regarding the foundation, when it was lastly checked, and if there's anything that is important, it will be in there, definitely.
Yeah, if we see any red flags on the documents, yeah, definitely would ask for it, but I don't believe in Eindhoven area at all. No, I don't believe we're gonna have that.
Yeah. Okay, and let's say you have a technical inspection or a foundation inspection. Is it still possible to withdraw from the offer?
If you don't sign the purchase agreement, yes. That's why in the offer, it's very good. That's why I told you, you really have to look for the clauses you put in the offer. So when I'm doing my offer for my client, I always put that the clause, the offer is subject to technical inspection as well, subject to finance and subject to technical inspection. So then if something comes up and you don't like it, you don't want to fix it, or you don't want to have anything to do with it, you don't want to make a big renovation for that, then you can just get out of the offer without paying any penalty.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We have a follow-up question from Oskan, which he had a question regarding the property tax. Okay. He asks, so what is the property tax for a 500k house? Are the property taxes paid annually or biannually?
Property taxes always pay annually, once a year, around Eindhoven is around end of February, beginning of March, depends on the neighborhood, but around those 2 months, you have to pay them all. I cannot tell you how much it is for a property of 500, because it depends on the neighborhood. The properties calculate with the whole neighborhood. So you might have a house of 200 in the neighborhood, and then the next street is 500, and the city hall will calculate based on all the houses. So you have houses of 500 and then the 2 million in the same neighborhood, and then they will call the taxes, and that's when you pay more or less. So I cannot tell you the value, but if you do have the postcode and the number of the house, you could go to the www.woz.nl, and then you can see how much were the taxes for what was the WOZ for last year. And then to calculate that, well, at the city hall you might be able to calculate.
Yeah. Okay, all right, clear. Then we have a question from Arnie. Arnie asks, is it possible to get a mortgage without having a permanent...
Ludo, I'm sorry, but once you get the documents of the house, you also going to see how much were the taxes they paid for the house in that year.
Yeah.
It's always in the document, so that's why it's very important. Sorry.
Definitely. No, good one. And you can even find on the website of the municipality what the rates are, so you could
more or less
theoretically calculate it yourself.
Yeah.
Indeed. Back to Arnie. Arnie asks, is it possible to get a mortgage without having a permanent employment contract? If so, what are the requirements if a temporary employment contract?
Yes, it is. I know a lot of people say it isn't, but I got my first house with a temporary contract actually. So the thing is that it really depends. Again, that's where the mortgage advisor come in handy, because he will tell which banks will accept that. Some banks don't accept it, but some banks do accept it. And what you need is a letter from your company saying that they have the intention to hire you permanently. It's just an intention letter. All the HRs they do that with no problem. There's no bias, so that it won't be they don't have to hire you at the end of the contract. It's just an intention letter. So if they do the letter, that for a lot of banks it's enough for you to buy a house.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Then another question from Nitin. He asks, I'm considering to buy a new house, which is still under construction. The price of the new house is higher than my mortgage limit. Can I save up until the house delivery date to reach the asking price of the house?
Ooh, I don't believe so. No, because they will approve. They will pre-approve everything now, because you have to start to pay it now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. And regarding mortgages and interest rates, what would be considered as a good interest rate and a bad interest rate in a time frame of 2020 to 2022, for example?
Well, the interest rate, if you get NHG now, they are around 1.3, 1.4 or something like that. That's quite low, but it really depends on the amount of money you will borrow, though. If you borrow, I would say, let's say 600-700 euros, you might end up paying 1.9, 2.1 even. And when you have NHG that is under 325, you're going to get 1.3, 1.2. So it really depends on the amount and what kind of mortgage. You can pay less interest rate in a different mortgage that you choose. So if you want to pay the interest rate first, then you pay a bit less, I believe, or a bit more. But if you pay, for example, you pay interest rates and mortgage together, those are two different mortgages, but if they make it one, then the interest rate is also different. It really depends on kind of mortgage you will choose.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, let's see. We have a few questions regarding the packages that we mentioned earlier. Could you possibly tell us the prices of the packages and also what the difference is? For example, the smart package that we most of the contact is online, and with the complete package that we actually visit the viewings with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. That's okay. So the smart package is where you go to the Funda, you make your appointments, you go to the house, and once you wanted to put an offer, you let us know, and then we do the whole process after that one. But we won't be there with you in the viewings, or in the technical inspector or appraiser, for example. But we'll guide you to everything, and we'll talk to you mostly likely every day, and make the offer, make the client profile, everything, send the offer, negotiate for you, everything we're going to do. But we won't be in the appointments. That package costs 1,999, included taxes. You have to pay a deposit of 199. And then, of course, the value will be deducted from the whole amount. And the full package, the complete package, means we basically do everything with you. That costs $4,699. Yes. And for Eindhoven area, we have a discount of 25%, included taxes as well. And you have to pay a deposit of 399.
Right. Sounds good. Then another question from an anonymous attendee. If I get a mortgage by partnering with an expat friend, and one of us decides to leave the country, what happens then? Can the remaining person continue the mortgage?
Well, this is a more specific question, but it depends on the partnership you have. Are you going to have a kind of partnership that you are living together as a couple, that you're going to go to the city hall and say that you live together? Then it's different when you sell a house, and then the other party also going to have to sign, and the bank most likely will make you sign sell the house, will pressure to sign the house. But that's a different kind of, but only if you buy with a friend. Unfortunately, I cannot answer that to you. I don't believe it's possible. I had a client before, they really want to do that with their roommates, and they couldn't do it at all.
Okay, all right. Then let's see. He or she also asks, in case I'm out of the country or move to a different part of the Netherlands and I rent my house under the mortgage to someone, will the rent earned be taxed?
No, it won't be taxed. No.
All right. Short but clear. Cool.
Sorry, yeah.
No,
It
that's
won't.
perfect.
It won't.
Exactly. So Joanna asks, do we pay the property taxes during the entire mortgage, so for all the years, or is it just something you pay once?
Property taxes, you mean the 2% when you buy, or the property taxes for the government? I believe it's
I
for
think
the government,
the
right?
government, yeah.
Yeah, you pay yearly. You pay every year. It's the taxes that they charge. The government just charge that every year from all of us, like the sewage taxes, and also the water taxes. You have to pay once a year.
Yeah. It's always a surprise when it's
always a
spring and you get
surprise.
the letters
Yes.
in.
If the people, if you have a 13 salary of say, just save it because
Exactly. You're gonna need it.
at the beginning of the year you're going to need, yeah.
All right, let's see. So is the resale value of an apartment goes down after a few years when compared to an independent house?
Um, unless the building is very, very in bad conditions, or the VVA, the owner association, has no cash at all, or they are in doubt actually, then that might happen. But that's not what we see. The prices always increase. Unless the only price that actually, when the price went down, was only the crisis in 2009, 2010. But other than that, all the prices went up always.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Then we have the last question of the Q&A. Then I go to the chat. After buying the home, I permanently move to another European country for work. Can I still rent the home in the Netherlands, or should I sell it? I think this question has been partially answered already.
Yeah.
But it might be good to
Well,
re-mention.
it really depends. I would say if you bought it, for example, last year, I would say try to rent it, because you probably won't be able to sell for that much yet, because it needs a bit more time. As we said, at least 3 years, especially if you overbid, then at least 3 years to get your money back. But if you are able to get a mortgage in another country and this one won't be any problem for you, then I would say just rent it. But again, you do need permission from the bank, or you just keep your Dutch bank account and keep the money flow, and then you might have no problem, but you might have problems as well. So it really depends. You still have to do your taxes here and everything. But what would be nice to do is to do a price research in the area and see how much did the price increase, and maybe it's a good idea to sell it. It all depends on how much the price the property increase, and if it's a good amount and it covers your mortgage, then yeah, I would say and if you can make a bit money of it, then I would say just sell it. But if you have the intention to come back, keep it, because you won't be able to buy for the same price in the next years for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. So we did get another question in the Q&A from Arun. He asks, is it possible, is it profitable value to buy a house if I stay in the Netherlands for 5 to 10 years? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I would definitely buy it and get out of the rent, and because that's a lot of time. You will get for sure your money back, and you will make even more money if you need to sell it in the future for sure.
All right. Then let's see. I'm going to go to the chat. I have a few questions from Pokumari. He or she asks, how is it possible, or how do you get the property documents?
You can just ask them. You can just ask them to the real estate agents that you call to make the appointments. Just tell them you need the documents, and then you can look it up.
That's it. I think some selling agents even send them automatically.
Yeah,
especially
some of
now
them
during
do.
Corona, you have to already sign up with your email address, so they'll send you automatically, and otherwise, indeed, just ask them.
It's just ask them. Yeah,
They will definitely
yeah.
send it to you. And then last two questions. Will this session be recorded and sent out to everyone?
Yes.
That's definitely a yes. And could
Yes.
you repeat one more time the prices of the packages?
Yes, I wanted to confirm the full package because I just got a little bit blanked. I don't remember the full package, but the smart package is 1,999 included taxes, and you have to put a deposit of 199 for us to start the process, and then you pay the rest at the notary. It doesn't matter how long it's a notary. If you buy a house now and you have to move in July, August, it doesn't matter. You pay only there the rest. And the completely package is 4,699.
4,799.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. 4,799. But we do have a 25% discount for the Eindhoven area. And it's also included taxes, and you have to pay a deposit of 399, and you only pay the rest when you get your keys at the notary.
Cool. All right. That was that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you. Those are all the questions? Okay, but again, if you have more questions, my email is at the end of the presentation. Please drop me an email and I'll be happy to answer them. Or go to our website and get in touch to our social medias. We can also help you there. And thank you so much for joining, everyone. Thank you, Ludo, for helping me out with the questions.
Thank you as well, of course.
Yeah, enjoy your evening for now. And I hope to see you literally, because I can't see you.
Exactly.
Bye, everyone.
Fantastic.
Yes, that would be great. Bye, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.